one of the things we recently started talking about with the salespeople is did we get 1% better today? And different ways we can measure that. How did you get 1% better? A lot of people get uncomfortable and refer to measuring as micromanaging. But ultimately, if we don't lay out very clear expectations at every process and minimum acceptable standards, then we're not doing our associates a service. We're doing them a disservice.
My name is Michael Hopkins, Chief Marketing Officer for VINCUE and host of Q the Next Leader. My guest today is Russell Tabone, who serves as General Manager and Dealer Operator at CMA's Hyundai of Lynchburg in Virginia. Russell, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Are you excited? Have you done stuff like this before?
A couple times, but I'm pumped. I love Team
All right,
VinQ and anything I can do to help.
man, I appreciate that. We love the energy, we love the passion. Let's start at the beginning. How'd you get in the car business?
So I worked for a car wash, Delta Sonic Car Wash Systems for 19 years, and when I left, I didn't know what I was going to do. So I put up a post on Facebook and said I was on to my next adventure and wasn't sure what I was going to do. And everybody started reaching out messages, and this one individual, John Conciardo from West Her, reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want you to come talk with us." And my initial response was, "I don't want to be one of those slimy car guys." And he started laughing. He said, "Why don't you just come in, see what we have to offer, see what it's all about? I want you to do finance." And I was like, I don't even know what that means. The guy that sits in the back and sells you everything after you buy a car. So the short story is went in, shadowed, had a job offer lined up that he said, "You don't want to take that. You want to come into the car business." And I said, "Okay." And about a week after that, I started at West Her.
That's awesome. And the rest is history, as they say.
The rest is history. Started at West Her in finance manager, finance director, used car manager, used car director, and went from there.
That's awesome. So, working across a couple different groups, what would you say are some of the most important things you've learned kind of moving in between different organizations?
People first is definitely a mantra that everybody should use. One of my mentors, Steve Pankow, taught me once. He used to say it in meetings all the time. He said, "Without the people, it's just a building with walls." And I say that all the time to this day. Is you could have the best staff, and you don't need a shiny, perfect building. If the culture is there and everything is working and everything's going in the direction it should, everything's going to be okay. But it comes down to the people and caring about the people, because if they're taken care of, they're going to make sure their customers are taken care of. But if they're taken care of, their families are taken care of, and that speaks volumes to how their experience is going to be inside the showroom.
I love that attitude. That's certainly what we try to bring to automotive as well. We'd say, if you take care of your people and you take care of your customers, you don't ever really have to worry about the bottom line.
Correct.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Great that you're preaching that from the top. What do you think, kind of in this moment, what's most challenging in automotive right now?
Right now, for us, we all have the same vehicles. We all have the same inventory, right? There's pre-owned vehicles, there's certified, there's new cars. We all have that. But what's the experience like for a customer when they come into your showroom? And that's what we train and we focus on. It's got to be a relaxed environment. There's got to be no pressure. And what we tell people is we don't like that uncomfortable back and forth. We're going to show you a numbers on your vehicle backed with data that's easy to read and easy to understand, and it's going to be extremely transparent. There's nothing hidden. We want the experience to be uplifting. We want you to feel comfortable, and we want you to leave with a vehicle feeling like you won and you only want to do business with us.
That's great. That's awesome. I mean that, and it feels like maybe unfortunately is kind of a new approach. It's almost a novel approach to managing the customer experience inside the stores. But I assume that you're finding that it's a winning approach.
It is a winning approach, especially because then the customer feels like they won too. So when they feel like they won, right? Because it's a negotiation, but everything is the margins are this big. We've got the data to back it up, but you can't, people come in and they want, you could tell they haven't shopped in a while. They want to buy a vehicle and they say, "Well, I want, here's $5,500 off asking price and I'm going to pay cash." Let's make sure that it's the right vehicle for you, because the price is irrelevant if you don't like the vehicle. And then furthermore, if you have a comfortable experience and you feel like you won, you're going to feel really good about your purchase.
Yeah, and probably go tell people about it, right?
Yes, you're going to tell people about it. You're going to service here. You're going to recommend CMA and the benefits of an ESOP, of dealing with people that are truly owners and have a vested interest in the company succeeding, and not just the store, the entire company.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about marketing. I want to hear more about the employee owned portion of CMA, but anymore, obviously I'm a marketer, right?
Yeah.
CMO, and anymore, it's like you can run all the ads you want. You can go across any traditional media you want, but the only thing people really are listening to are friends, family. What are people saying about you online? Like that's incredibly important.
Exactly. And we ask for testimonials. We ask for customer reviews. We've got QR codes around that they could scan. We've got Zappy cards they could tap with their phone. We can send them links. Whatever's easiest to get that customer to interact with the review platform is what we want to do.
100%. That's great. So before we get into all that, tell us a little bit more about CMA Hyundai of Lynchburg. How many people do you have? How many cars do you sell in a month? What's your used new mix? All the good stuff.
Yeah, we have about 24 employees total in the store right now. We just added the service department will add 16 bays, so we'll be scaling up for that. It's a really good mix of people that are focused on the customer experience. Right now, we're selling about 30 new, 30 used a month, 1-to-1 ratio, trying to really scale that up to 100 on the way. Our busiest month we had was shortly after we had went on the VinCue platform. Last year we did 73 units and then we went under construction. So a little bit of a space hindrance,
Yeah.
uh, a little bit of a setback. Now that we're back in action, we're back on the pace in the 50s, 60s, trying to build that back up. We've had very, very impressive results in our used car turn and our look to book. And that just comes from trusting the data, trusting the process, forming the process, and revamping
Yeah.
it. We found out exactly what's going to work for us, and then sticking to it and training on it every single day.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about that process. What did that look like when you were evaluating what you were doing and what you needed to do to start pushing the numbers up?
Yeah, so we used a different legacy software program for inventory management in the past, and I hate to say it, but sometimes you get attracted to nice shiny things. VinQ was one of those nice shiny things, but it was backed by science and data, so it made it a very, very easy case for us to switch to. There were some cost savings involved, which was huge, but having real-time data and a competitive set that was accurate allowed us to price and market our vehicles competitively and compare them to like vehicles, not things that didn't belong there or incorrect price data. Um, Through some trials, we were able to figure out, the best way to handle a customer in store, right? So with ACE, the accelerated customer experience, every customer gets that along with a copy of Max Offer, and it'll show here's where Max Offer is, so you don't have to go to Car Max. We can show
That's
you what
awesome.
to offer, and then here's our ACE. By the way, backed with all the data of the comparable vehicles for sale, and here's your check. And what are the things that we do differently than some other dealers, as I always show trade value and purchase value, street purchase value are the same. And I explain to customers, you'll get a lot of people that'll tell you, they'll give you a value on a trade. We put our money where our mouth is. You can trade us the vehicle, you could sell us the vehicle. I I don't mind either one you do. I want to sell you a vehicle, but I'm going to give you the same. It's real money. It's not fluffed, and I'll give you a check every time. Um, Having the salespeople do a very, very good walk around with the customer, taking thorough pictures, um, notating damage, asking leading questions that'll give us better answers for the customer as to where this happened or what's the story behind it. Then allows us to put accurate reconditioning in the vehicle too, so we understand that what our reconditioning is going into it. Helps us with our exit strategy. But all of that, I say all of that because our look to book was in the teens to low 20s. We're at 51% right now, and our turn rate was usually around 9 to 10. We hover somewhere between 12 and 18 times a year turning our used car inventory.
That that is incredible, Russell. Those are some amazing results. You got to be pretty happy with that.
I'm excited. I wish we could do it now. We have to do it at a higher scale, right?
Yeah.
So the 30s are great, but how do we get, 32, 35, 40 and keep climbing from there? Average days to sell, yeah, as of yesterday was 19.
And that was down from,
70s, 80s,
oh wow.
60s. Yeah, it wasn't pretty for a while.
That's huge. Well, I mean, I'm glad that you're mentioning VinQ, and we'll talk a little bit more about your experience there too. But it sounds like you guys have done a lot of work around process and training to make sure that that experience is going to be consistent, and you're getting the right info in front of the desk.
It's not just making the process and training on it, it's continuous and having that discipline to do continuous small gains every day. one of the things we recently started talking about with the salespeople is did we get 1% better today? And different ways we can measure that. How did you get 1% better? A lot of people get uncomfortable and refer to measuring as micromanaging. But ultimately, if we don't lay out very clear expectations at every process and minimum acceptable standards, then we're not doing our associates a service. We're doing them a disservice.
100%. You need everyone rowing in the same direction, right?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So we talked a little bit about you've got great turn numbers, which is great. You've got days of sale, you're measuring that. What else are you measuring? What else is the 1% increments you're looking at?
So we look for meaningful outbound activity with the salespeople. We were targeting activity for a long time, but it was just a bunch of stuff. So we narrowed it down to meaningful activity. Um, and one of the things we have great success with is video. Well, you get a lot more engagement with customers in video. So we're using video in sales, we're using video in service, and it helps put a face to a name and breaks down those barriers of being uncomfortable and helps for that smooth seamless experience when a customer comes in store. So every time a lead comes in, we send a welcome video. I have a video that I send out to every lead. I go through and it just says, hey, our showroom is open. We're no longer under construction. We not only need to move this new car inventory, but we need to acquire more pre-owned inventory. So we're paying top dollar. Come on in and deal with owners who just care more.
Yeah, it helps when it's true, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, honesty is always the best thing to lead with. So that's awesome. Um, so obviously, is that something that you were doing uniquely at CMA Hyundai of Lynchburg, or is that a CMA? Is that like kind of a corporate global thing for the group?
We are laser focused as a company on video and the importance of video. More importantly, service for video MPIs. Really just making sure that every customer is getting a thorough video with a couple photos that says, hey, here's what's going on with your vehicle. Or in the best case scenario, hey, Michael, your 2025 Palisade looks great. Here it is. Looks like you're keeping up on it great. Doesn't need anything. You might want to keep an eye out for a cabin filter in the future, but thanks for serving with us and servicing with us, and I'll see you soon.
That's great. What are you using? So I'm going to make a guess and say you're using DriveCentric on the sales side
Oh,
with video. No? Oh, what are you using? Sorry.
we use for video on the sales side, we use SnapCell.
Okay. Is that like a plugin then, or something to add on top of your CRM?
Yeah, it used to be SnapCell that they were bought by Trade Pending, and it's just
Okay.
a very, very lightweight video tool that allows you to get messages out to customers with different call to actions at the end, where they can click, call, get directions to your store,
Okay.
interact with that platform. They can share the video with different people. So you can actually see, like I send you a video, you send it to Danny, Danny sends it to Chris. I'll see that it was shared 3, 4, 5 times and watched multiple times.
Is that what you're using in service too? Same tool?
Oh, service we're using X time with their
Okay.
videos, but I believe SnapCell does have a service tool. We like to keep it consistent with X time and the multi-point inspections so that they get everything all together. But I mean, you don't even need a tool. You could just send videos.
Yeah.
Like anybody, I mean, what's nice is the tracking and everything like that, but it makes it so much more personable. And then we can see ROI counts climb as they have video or picture, video, no media. It's a linear curve.
Yeah, that's awesome. I haven't heard a lot of service departments doing that yet, so that's really cool that you guys are doing it. And speaking of service, so I know you guys are about ready to open up an expanded service department. Did I hear 16 service bays is
We'll
what you
have
added?
we will have well total we added 12, so we will have
Okay.
16 bays and a brand new 75 by 75 shop that they're putting on the back of the building. But all state of the art equipment, all brand new lifts, brand new tire changers, brand new balancers, brand new alignment checker in the lane. Everything will be brand new.
And I understand that obviously it's a big deal for you on the fixed side, and I'm sure that a huge investment. But it sounds like you guys are also investing quite a bit in service to sales pipeline,
Yeah.
trying to making sure to use service as an opportunity to force transactions. What has that journey been like?
It's been a journey for me, and we're not by far successful in it in any way, and we're trying as hard as we can. We've got a lot of very successful people at CMA that we're leaning on that do 30, 40, 50 a month out of the service drive. To me, we've got but somewhere between 4 and 10 low-hanging fruit in the service department every day, and VinCue does a great job of dumping all those X time appointments in, and we can see what fits our buy plan so that we can narrow it down to, okay, these are the 4 to 10 people that we need to talk to every single day. Um, and try to purchase their vehicle. And we haven't been successful with it. It's one of our biggest areas of opportunity. And that's actually where I was looking before this, is how we can tweak that process. How can we become more successful there? Because those are people right in our backyard that we don't have to market to. We don't have to go out and buy a vehicle at the auction. We can cater to them right here and upgrade their vehicle in the right experience.
Yeah, give them a great experience and also transact a few on it. Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the conversation that's happening across almost every one of our dealers right now. Is like it's the it's the next horizon of acquisition is finding a way to mine those opportunities. So are you guys using any equity mining along with that yet, or right now
Yeah,
it's
not yet.
just
I want to
dumping the
get
leads?
Yeah, before I think we got to show some growth first, right?
Hmm.
That we're actually able to do that and we're doing it well. But then we'd look into tools like Auto Alert or something like that to better serve our mission. But we just got to start buying some vehicles, right?
Yeah.
Appraisal great and all that. But if we're not actively acquiring those appraisals, then we have to tweak something.
And what's the process right now? Are those just going straight to a sales manager and they're going over to service? Do you have anyone in service? Do you spiffing anyone?
Yeah,
What does that look like?
we've tried a couple different we've tried just about everything, and it's the right person that has a mission that's going to go through those every single day. So right now I got it narrowed down to one salesperson. Every day we sit through and we go through the 4 to 10 he's going to do. I print out an ace for him, and then he's tries to meet with the customers, um, and he leaves the ace in their vehicle. We started this about a week ago. So now it's getting consistent on, okay, how did you make an appointment with those people? Did you miss them? What happened? What's your follow-up like? And how do we better get those people when they first come into the service? Because if you're trying to catch them when they're picking up their car and running out, they're out of here. They don't want to,
Yeah.
they already paid their bill, they're out. But if we can get them ahead of time or the day before and start that conversation early enough, I think we could show great success.
Yeah, I think that's super smart. You'll have to keep me updated on how that goes because
Yeah.
I'd love to come back and do another little case study once you guys kind of have that figured out. Danny's actually we submitted two presentations to NADA for next year, for next February. So we've got a couple dealers that are doing really good. So we've asked them to come share kind of how they're doing it. But I mean, it's just a struggle. It's hard. And I think like even so Brian Bedstock with Paragon, Honda, and Acura, like he's doing a great job, but like his goal is 5% conversion of ROs, which seems really low. But when you consider the margin on that, and then you consider how you scale up volume on service, all of a sudden it starts making a lot of sense.
Yeah, and if he's doing 2,000 customer pay ROs, that's a lot of vehicles.
For sure. So talk to me about acquisition otherwise. So you guys do not rely that heavily on the auction, right?
No, we did. There was a time we did that we would fill in different units. And I've had luck with some Genesis, some higher end Silverados, things that I nobody really thought would do well, but did. And then I've got burned on a couple too. So we've really just really focused on how do we supplement our inventory with customers in our backyard and stepping up on trades and giving all the money the first time. Um, it does a couple different things. One, it helps the customer experience tremendously. Secondly, as as you're doing save a deal meetings and going through the buyer performance report, I don't have to call people back and offer them more money because people are learning and we're training is do not let that customer leave because of a trade. So let's put all the money in the right time, give them the data that backs it up, explain it to them, go out and do a manager turnover and say, hey, this is where vehicles are transacting. I'm actually paying up on your vehicle because it's got a good history. It's got a story behind it. You bought it. You bought it as a certified pre-owned vehicle. It was serviced. You regularly came here. So if we get all that out and we build that story, we have a better chance of acquiring that trade. And that's what, I think that's what helps with our 50% look to book.
Yeah, I mean, which is incredible. And I understand you also do a daily save a deal meeting where you're
Yep.
going over every single appraisal.
Yep, every morning at the sales desk, all the salespeople come in. I've got the buyer performance report up, and I go through line by line, and I just say, okay. And the first thing I glance at is cost to market. So I sort by cost to market, and I say, okay, what happened here at 55% cost to market? What are we doing? And usually the notes are there. Sometimes they're not, and we have to have a conversation about that. But it opens up the dialogue of what's going on. Okay, that car's got 240,000. Yes, it might be a 17 or an 18 or a 19, but it's got 200,000 miles. Okay, so there's a little bit of a story there. Okay, so that can justify it. But, I just want to be very super cautious that we're not lowballing and letting people walk out the door and not getting the trades. And then we go through the poach report too. Like so month to date, we have two poached appraisals. So I was I'm okay with that. They were my appraisals. So first thing you do is you look at cost to market, and I was in the mid 90s. Okay. So I put all the money in the vehicle. So what was it? These two vehicles ended up being customers that defected to a different brand. I can't compare a Hyundai to a Mercedes or something like that, or a Tahoe. So maybe the customer wasn't sold on our vehicle, but as long as we did what we could do to try to acquire that car, gave the customer all the data, made sure that we thanked them for coming in and made sure that they had a good experience, we did our part.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, the piece I love about that is you don't want a deal, or you don't want a deal to walk out the door and then have to call them back later and try and offer them more money. I mean, nothing screams like "don't trust me"
Yep.
more than "oh hey, sorry we let you leave. Like, please come back for this." And it's
Exactly.
like,
Exactly.
what aren't you telling me then at that point? What else? So that's good. I love that strategy. That's really cool. So we talked about a little bit of acquisition and appraisal. Now let's talk about like merchandising. What is your guys' merchandising strategy? Are you guys kind of like a velocity model with, it's like just try to run as many units through, or are you guys really focusing on like outperforming the market, going with highest authentic value?
Yeah, we're trying to go for highest authentic value, truthfully, and that starts on day one. So one of our struggles has been getting the right pictures online day one, rather than waiting for the vehicle to go through detail service and everything like that. So we asked our salespeople to start taking very specific pictures when they appraise the vehicle so that I can use a couple of those and put them online on day one. The next thing is making sure the equipment is right. Make sure it's got the correct tags. We haven't done a good job of getting banners on pictures, but we're working on that. And just little highlights like heated and cooled seats, things that you might not realize. And making sure we have the right CTAs on the website has been a tremendous improvement. Um,
And, and are you using VinQ's like the tools and the automations and the rules for that?
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. What's your average days to frontline ready?
Right today is at 9. Usually we hover around 3 to 5.
Okay. And is that down from starting
Oh
with
yeah.
VinQ?
Oh yeah. We were 2018. I mean, we never had a real way to track, right? You can go through different things and different reporting and everything like that, but you could fool yourself to say, oh, it's online, it's ready to go and everything like that. But VinQ actually gives you the real data in there, which has been tremendous for us to really focus on that metric. And then you can use it with the sales managers and the inventory assistants and say, hey, like what's going on here? Low pictures, no pictures. That's actually one of the conversations we had this morning is how do we get our vehicles ready next day? I want pictures online next day with appropriate calls to action and the right descriptions. How do we do that? Let's start with that, and then we can go to perfecting everything else.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's so much money left on the table the longer that car sits waiting to go
Mhm.
online. So that's smart. What does your marketing budget look like right now? Where you guys spending?
We spend about 38 to $40,000 a month total on advertising and promotion, between new and pre-owned vehicles.
What do you find that's working the best for you?
So that's a really good question. Some of the most organic has been working the best. Um, real hometown backyard, like if I do a video for Facebook and I put it on the store with employees, that'll outperform any produced thing we're gonna do. So things that are authentic, things that really touch the community. Um, if we do an ad or a short for YouTube and we put it up with people, it's gonna perform great. If we put a canned ad up there about a Hyundai driving down the road, it's gonna be right? And we get now we'll have local people are noticing, oh, on Facebook, I heard you on the radio, not on the radio. I saw you on OTT on my YouTube or something like that when I was watching Hulu. Things like that are really resonating with the community. And we just try to tell people that we're an ESOP, we're owned by our employees, and we're here to show you what an easy car buying experience should be.
That's awesome. Yeah, and Danny always says it's work is really easy when you're doing good things with good people. And
These
that's
are,
people just want to do work with you then.
yeah, right.
That's awesome. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your journey with VinQ. You guys have been with us for a little over a year, a little under a year, right
Uh,
around.
2 years.
So what when you guys went out and made the decision to switch, I know Liza was part of that, and Liza and Danny are fairly close, but what were some of the challenges like as a group that you guys were looking at and hoping to solve?
So days to frontline and really growing used car inventory and growing used car volume. Um, this store did single digits for used cars for a long time and saw growth as one or two units. And I knew that we couldn't survive with that mentality. So first of all, cost, right? So VinCue was a cost savings over the previous company we were using. Next was the ease of use. VinCue was super easy to use, very user friendly. But like you guys said on your Catalyst launch, you guys grow the company off of dealer feedback, which is enormous because the previous company didn't really care what anybody said. They said, this is our company and this is what we do. VinCue, Danny, Chris Arnold, yourself have taken lots of feedback from me and others and said, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. How can we build this in to tweak this better? And how can we make this more efficient so that when you put it into a process, it's easy to teach and easy to use? And things like that. Max offer integration, for instance, seamless. I can click a couple buttons and it's done. And then I can print that out, print my ace out. I'm talking to the customer, which is where I'm going to be more effective than sitting on a computer clicking buttons. So as we continue to add little things like that, investing more in dealers like you guys are and the people and the experience, that just translates to a better customer experience.
That's awesome. I mean, it seems easy, right? Sort of it's a,
Should be.
oh, well, if you're selling software to a dealer and they've got specific problems and challenges, why don't you just ask them what it is and then solve them
Yeah.
and give it back to them? But yeah, no, we're really proud of that, obviously. I mean, you've been to Unleashed a bunch of times. So like at our Unleashed conference every year, Josh gets up, our product manager, and talks about what that process looks like. And I think you probably heard, since it sounds like you were on VinCue Next this week to listen to Catalyst, that 72% is what we averaged the last 12 months in terms of everything that we released out the door was 72% came directly from dealers. So I mean, it's one of the reasons I wanted to join this company, and it's one of the reasons that I think that we're doing really novel things. So and it sounds like it's resonating with our dealers, which is great. So when you first signed up, were you in the dealership when you went through onboarding?
Yeah, yeah, we signed up. I did an entire presentation for CMA of why Danny actually flew in. Me and Danny presented to Liza on why it made sense and what the partnership looked like. And something that's really big, and I learned this from Liza, is it's great that we have these vendors, but we refer to them as partners, right? Because you're a partner in this. And Danny wanted to make sure that Liza understood that it's a partnership, and VinCue is going to be responsible as much as we're responsible for how do we reach these metrics and how do we reach them together. So I think that really drove home. And then as we got started, a couple other stores jumped on. I think we have 5 or 6 in the group now on VinCue. And the idea is let's just keep growing. Let's grow our used car acquisition. Let's grow our used car sales, and then let's grow the number of dealers that are on VinCue.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, we've loved working with all of your stores too. I know that you guys have been instrumental in giving us a lot of feedback, and part of signing on a couple of the CMA stores. Liza had very specific requirements, so it's been a lot of fun to be able to work through those with you guys and see it happen sort of in real time as we
Yep.
push those things out, which is really cool. So like putting a little bit of a button, like how do you think VinQ's impacted you? Compared to you can compare it to using the other software, just the experience in the past. How does it impact you as a sales manager?
I get to go through things a lot quicker because the information's right there. So if I'm appraising a vehicle outside, I see all the comps right there on my phone. We just turned on ACV appraisal, which is super easy because now I get a notification when ACVs are finalized and it comes up on my phone. I can click, I can see how many are waiting, I can see comps right there. So just tools like that, time is we can't make up time. So if we can't get more time, we have to be more efficient with the time we have. And VinQ allows me to look at narrowed data quickly. And after it learns, which I couldn't believe it, but after so much time, it starts learning habits and it learns your market data and it gives you better predictions. That's for me, that's huge.
That's great. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, you're like speaking right out of our marketing materials, but obviously that's great. We love to hear that. We talked a little bit about like some of the bottom line numbers. So it sounds like turn has been cut for you said, or I'm sorry, you've increased turn 4x. Sounds like,
Yeah,
or
pretty much.
you went from 8 to 12, something like
Yeah.
that. Are you keeping track of front end gross?
Front end gross, but we also went through some market changes. 2 years ago was a different selling season. So in all fairness, we look at that with a grain of salt right now because it was a much different selling season 2 years ago when we came on versus now. Um, but what I look for is the turn number. Are we getting more vehicles through? Are we acquiring more? And are we, for look to book, are we capturing as many as we can? So that was the biggest metric that stood out to go from high teens to low 20s to 50s and trying to stay there and keep our numbers going in the same direction is a really important and really impactful to make sure that we grow our used car operations.
That's awesome. So if you're there's another dealer listening to this and they're thinking about going to VinQ, hopefully because they're listening to our podcast, what's the advice that you would give them?
I would say talk to your partners. I would say not only talk to your partners, but talk to your VinQ rep. Really have them show you everything it has. Go back to your other partner and say, can you show me how to do this, this, and this? I think what you'll quickly find is they don't know. And you'll get a lot of, I'm not sure. Let me get back to you. Where you talk to somebody at VinQ, it's almost like they're vested in VinQ because they'll get somebody on the phone right there, or they just know this is how you do it. So the knowledge base is extremely important for me too. Along with the cost savings and ease of use, it's a no-brainer.
That's awesome. And I'm glad that's been your experience. The getting someone on the phone is funny because I sit in a lot of meetings with Danny and we're working on strategy and budgets and planning for the next show or whatever, and constantly on his phone. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, this guy's texting me, this guy's texting me. And it's, sales managers from any store all across the country. And Danny's not letting a text go. He's not letting a phone call go.
Answers the phone.
Yeah, yeah. We're car people, right? Like that's what you do in the dealership. You don't miss a call, you don't miss a text because that means you're missing a sale.
Danny's picked up the phone before and he's like, hey man, I'm sorry, I'm in a board meeting right now. I'm like, Danny,
Yeah,
did you
exactly.
answer the phone?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it drives me a little crazy sometimes when I'm like, I need you to focus. But yeah, no, it's incredible. All right, so we talked a little bit about CMA and CMA being a great partner. We've talked about it a few times, but like, talk to me a little bit about the fact that it's employee owned. ESOP, employee. What is ESOP?
Employee
What is
stock
it?
ownership program.
That one. So talk to me a little bit about what that means, and what do you think that means to you as a person and as to your employees?
Well, you really own, so employees own 26% of everything, and that's everything. That's the reinsurance, the properties. Liza put out a really nice post the other day and said every chair, every nut, and every bolt in the building. And it's right. Like, so as after your first year of employment, starting in year two, you're issued stock. So your stock is based on your position and how many hours you've turned.
What's it like working for Liza? I mean, I assume that energy and that perspective comes straight from the top.
She's such a genuine person. And when I first met her, I was walking around Beaver Toyota with Patrick and had some conversations with Liza. And she's just a genuine, down to earth person that wants everybody to win. And she probably is one of the people the biggest fan of people I've ever met.
Yeah, no, she's incredible. We love any time that she can give us a little bit of time, and I got to spend a little bit of time with her and Patrick at NADA last year. And, we're sitting on the floor. We're there to sell software, but we got Danny and our performance managers sitting down, and they bring their lists of things. Like, here's all the things we need. So it's amazing to have her so involved like that. What other mentors have you had kind of along the way that you want to give a shout out to?
So I mean, Steve Pankow was my first general manager at West Her. Um, he allowed me to make mistakes and he allowed me to learn from those mistakes. And it was probably one of the most impactful people that I've worked for because he let me make the mistakes and let me figure out how to fix them. Not many people would have done that. I think we get to times that you come to correct different search situations and you try to just figure a way out. Steve was like, fix it, fix it. You want this to work, fix it. And really, really taught me a lot of everything I know in the automotive world.
Do you take that into your management leadership style? I mean, is that what you try to do with your team?
I'm doing it. I did for a while, and I'm doing it more now. I went into a period where I became kind of, I felt like I was responsible for everything when we were under construction. So kind of bogged myself down and started just doing everything myself. And that puts a tremendous toll on me, but it's a disservice to the people here in the store. So I've been really, really focused on working through the people. And I spend most of my day now having conversations and one-on-ones. given a clear. So right now we're working on it's called PSP, Personalized Success Plan. And we're working on those for every employee with action plans. And we're trying to dial them down to five non-negotiables that you as a person are responsible for every single day you work here. And we're putting a lot of thought into these too, so that they're clear and everybody has a good understanding of what they do and what they're responsible for when they first walk into the building. And through that, I mean, we started doing that this week. It's been extremely impactful. And then it generates really, really powerful conversations as everybody's talking about this and working on it. We had a sales manager giving parts advice to the parts manager, and the parts guy was giving this is what we can do for the inventory lot. And it develops really, really good conversation.
That's really cool. I mean, there's such a wall typically between fixed and variable, right? And I think, but the one of the strategies I've kind of learned to do is like when you're trying to mentor, you're trying to teach someone something, it's like you present the problem and then say, what do you think I should do? Right? Like, well, how would you solve this? And once you give someone a little bit of ownership over a challenge or an opportunity, like it really changes the culture quickly.
Yeah, for sure. For
That's
sure. And
awesome.
it less allows them to feel like a true owner. Feel like you're empowered.
Yeah, I mean that's an entire different dynamic that I'm sure helps a ton as well. That's very cool. All right, so before we close up, I want to talk a little bit about the industry, right, and where we're going as an industry. There's obviously been so many changes over the last. I mean, I've been at VinCue for 4 years, and I was freelancing for Danny for a few years before that, and it's an entirely different industry, right? Customer experience being at the center, like transparency and pricing. Obviously, a lot of influences from outside of automotive, e-commerce and things like that. But what are some of the biggest influences and impacts you've seen over the last couple of years that's really changed the trajectory?
I think in different areas you have different situations where everybody, so like for me, the biggest change was everybody has this, right? Everybody has a phone. So you can Google, you could find dealers who has what inventory. So that takes price out of it, right? And that for us, it's really educating customers that maybe not understand that. They come in and it all ties back to the experience. So if you explain that right up front, and you really, really make sure that the customers that are coming in understand, okay, hey, why did you find me, Michael? Why did you find how did you find our store? I'm guessing you came in because that's such a great price online. And if you start the conversation like that, you're going to get through some roadblocks. Oh, I was hoping to save thousands. Oh, I saw you had a different one. Oh, the Nissan store across the street has the same vehicle that's 3 grand more. Now you're developing a conversation, which is a perfect time to segue into I'm glad you came to us because we're extremely transparent. We're going to give you an awesome experience. Um, I'm glad that you came in because you probably saw our price, right? Let me tell you about how we price. We use real market data to give you an authentic value. And then you actually remember their name, meet them at the door, do all the stuff. That eliminates a lot of the noise you hear from the industry. I think where we fail customers is we just meet them or we're too busy, we're on the phone, we give them a bad experience. Now you're hit with all these roadblocks, right? Well, I don't like the car. Well, you're priced too high. So it all comes down to process. And we spend every morning we go over the meet and greet. I don't care how redundant it is. If you can't meet a customer at the door, shake their hand, look them in the eye, and say some stuff in the first couple sentences that makes that customer feel welcome, have their guard down, and understand that they chose the right place to do business, then we don't have any business to go past that.
I love your focus on customer experience, man. Like it's really, really cool. And it's awesome that you're leading from the top that way. How do you think that's going to continue to evolve? And then what's going to impact that is, AI is coming in, right? And it's going to change a lot of the conversations that you have online with, the ability to start the conversation online. We've got lots of things that are going to impact prices and inventory availability. Like what are you worried about or what do you see as opportunities?
Opportunities I see is touching a customer as fast as you can. So yeah, we have some AI tools we use. We use Impel for a couple different things in sales and service, but you have to be able to jump in when needed. If you're relying on the AI to have conversations and it's trying to get a human and the human's not available, you're going to fail. So we have to be able to be alerted when we need to jump in or glance at the conversation. Then you got to just some of that up with a phone call, right? There's nothing that beats text message is fine. You could, but that could be misconstrued. You can't see tone in an email. You could do different things, but hey, Michael, this is Russ Tabone. I'm the general manager of CMA's Hyundai of Lynchburg. I see you put an inquiry on our Palisade. I'm so glad you reached out. How can I help? that powerful words on a voicemail or even in a text to follow up the AI is huge to break down those barriers and open up those lines of communication to tell you, hey, I want to serve you at the highest level. How can I help? And then what I like to make sure that people understand is use it. I would love to help you. How can I help you? How can I serve you? Because that's what we're here for. Just like we're without the people in the building, it's just a building with walls. Without customers, we don't have a building. We don't have a business. So we need to serve the public at the highest level we can and authentically.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think that if you look over the last generation, everything was all about how do we basically mass produce, drive volume up, drive price down, but when you drive price down, you're also driving quality down. And so I feel like there's a sort of shift across almost every single retail market where it's like, I need less things, but I
Yeah.
need nicer things, right? And I'm going to pay a little premium to make sure that it's really what I want, that it's going to last, that I'm going to enjoy this experience. And there's a higher premium on that feeling than there is just consuming. And obviously, like in automotive, that applies in so many different ways. But I think like even just the communication, like you're talking about, being able to reach out to a customer, what's novel is actually getting someone to call you and talk to
Yeah.
you, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to just chatting with a bot online.
Exactly. And we've been really, really hammering on every day with our salespeople. How many outbound activities are you making? But how many of those are phone calls? How many times did you pick up the phone and just say, hey, and have a conversation with a customer?
Yeah, 100%. That's awesome. So I'll kind of close it with just kind of like a big question. So if someone's listening and they're maybe an entry level sales or in the BDC or something like that, but they love automotive and they're trying to chart out their career, what's the best advice you can give them to start doing now?
Be comfortable talking to people and get comfortable being uncomfortable because you're going to have to do a lot of things that you didn't think you would do. You're going to have to go out there on a test drive. You're going to have to put yourself out there. You're going to have to get your face on video to prospect for customers. And you're really just going to have to put in the work. But it doesn't have to be hours and hours and endless of work. If you come to work on time with a smile, ready to work, and you dive in and you give your all when you're there, go home, clear your head, enjoy your life, and then come back and do it again. And if you start those little consistent disciplines now, they're going to take you very, very far.
That's great advice. I love that. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. I mean, that's how you really shine. That's how you stand out. It's because you're able to go do things that other people aren't willing to do.
Oh,
That's awesome advice. Russell, thank you. This has been an awesome conversation. We've never gotten to do this one-on-one before, so I really appreciated this time. It's obviously how much you love the industry, how much you love your store, how much you love CMA. It comes out in everything that you're talking about. So really glad that you love us. Obviously, that's coming out too. Before I close out and do my little closing, is there anything else you want the people to know that are listening about being a kick-ass operator, about the industry, about CMA?
nope. Love people and love cars.
Man, great advice. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Q the Next Leader. Thank you to Russell Tabone, General Manager at CMA Hyundai of Lynchburg, for your insights, your perspective, and your stories. My name is Michael Hopkins, Chief Marketing Officer of VINCUE, and I've been your host. If you're listening to this podcast for the first time, please give us a follow on Buzzsprout or YouTube, or sign up for our newsletter at vinque.com. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please reach out to us on vinque.com/podcast. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.